Hey folks, how's everybody doing out there? Hope y'all are doing well. Welcome to tonight's show. What am I going to talk about tonight? Well, I'm going to go over a bunch of comments that you, the viewer, left on this last video I did, a couple videos back, where I basically took a viewer's comment talking about, he moved over here to the PI. And look, PI is what we call the Philippines, right? Philippine Islands. Me and my crew just always call it the PI. So anyhow, he was talking about he moved to the PI, had expectations of this, ended up being a little bit too expensive to live here. Now his old lady got pregnant, and what to do. So make sure you check out that video. It's a pretty good talk. Our plans don't always survive first contact, and things change. Welcome to this game we call life. So video's doing real well, over 10,000 views, good watch time. Apparently it was an interesting topic, and I thank you for watching. But what's even more interesting is today's video, where I read the comments and we talk about some of the stuff in the comments. That's what I'm going to do. So this is going to be a long show. If you're looking for a 2 or 3 minute answer to all your problems, this ain't it. This is absolutely not it. I don't tell short stories. I don't know how to tell short stories. So look at this as more of a podcast. I hope the audio is good. I think it is. And just push play while you ride down the road or do your household chores, whatever you're gonna do. But welcome to my indoor studio, because it's still raining here. I love to be sitting outside underneath Mother Nature, staring at the mangoes on the mango tree and the clouds. But it's still raining here because of that thing they call is it called the habitat? Habitat? I don't know. It's like a monsoon, rain, low pressure area. I don't know. You know why? Because I'm not a weatherman. So right off the bat, what am I drinking? Been enjoying a nice cold glass of grape juice on the rocks. A lot of y'all, every time you see a drink in my hand, you think I went back to drinking. That is not the case at this time, my friends. Can't guarantee where the future is going to take me, but right now I'm still stone cold sober. So let me walk over here to the laptop. Well, let me address something. I think it's later on in the comments, right? But and this is a compliment, I guess. Somebody said, "Hey, his background is a green screen." That's not the case. This is my studio. In actuality, it's my living room. This is not a green screen. You clearly saw me go back that way. Now, if it were a green screen, I wouldn't be able to sit down in this chair right here, and I would have. So no, it's not a green screen. I guess I had the depth of field so shallow and the lighting is so wonderful in here. You thought it was a green screen. It's not. It's my living room. Living room furniture, formal dining room here, but it makes a beautiful set. Okay, without further ado, I just refreshed the screen 10 minutes ago. This is from Deuteronomy. And again, folks, you learn more in the comments than you do from old single dad here. And I don't know, I can't see the screen. I think I'm out of frame. There we go. Got a little bit better angle on the dangle. I'm no Steven Spielberg. Although last night we watched that movie E.T. Everybody from my generation remembers back in the 80s how important that was to the generation. Last night Maria got to watch E.T. for the first time. And she was actually scared to death at first. I'm like, look, he's a friendly little alien. It's not a horror show. Anyhow. All right, so here we go. It's from Deuteronomy. King, I supposedly got a 20-year-old girl pregnant in 2023. But she said she had relations with another foreigner the same day. I demanded a DNA test and she flipped out, saying she was going to file a case. I never went back to her province after she went psycho on me. When I asked if I could see my son and if he could live with me, full-time or part-time, in Angeles City, her mom texted me and said she was going to contact the police because she has connections. Then afterwards, her hot 40-year-old mom offered to be my lover in exchange for a monthly allowance. You can't make this stuff up. I even had thoughts the past 2 years of ending my life over this scam. So thank you very much, Deuteronomy, for the comment. Folks, I could write an entire book on pregnancy scams, not just here in the PI, okay? I've also been the attempted victim of several pregnancy scams throughout the years. And what it boils down to, folks, it boils down to girls just trying to get money out of you for as long as they can get it out of you. And they're going to do that by any means necessary. They're going to make threats. They're going to tell you they love you. They're going to do everything from A to Z to get your money. I'll just sort of briefly recap probably the best scam that they do. You sleep with the girl, and then she'll wait a month or two to make it real. You know, make sure she has your contact information. You sleep with a girl, 2 or 3 months later, she calls up and says, okay, I'm pregnant. Now, you don't know whether to believe her or to not believe her. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But what they'll do is go to great lengths to convince you that they're pregnant. And they'll do this by sending, fake ultrasounds, fake medical records, pictures of their belly getting bigger, whether, they're acting or, later on, if it continues, they take pictures of their cousin who's pregnant. They'll tell you, oh, I don't want to send you a full picture of me because I'm shy. You might think I'm ugly. I mean, they're very crafty about how they do it. Okay, and so what do? You start sending money for them to go to the clinic. They're sending you these bullshit documents from the clinic. And the scam is real. And what they're hoping is you don't come back over here and get face to face with them and find out that they ain't pregnant. They never were pregnant. They're skinny as a rail. All these documents and these photos and everything, they're purposely not showing you their belly when they're videoing with you. And of course the early months, it don't matter anyhow, but if they keep this thing running to the point they're supposed to be getting big, they have a story for you. You're like, hey, stand up, let me see the belly. No, I'm shy. They'll come up with all this shit, right? And then when okay, all right, I'll make sure I'm there, I'm coming over, and then they either disappear on you, they ghost, or you come over and you do find them and they're slim and trim. It was just a scam. If you sleep with a girl in your hometown and in America, it's pretty hard for her to pull this scam off over any type of given time, right? But if you're sitting on the other side of the world, and the girl's over here that you slept with, well, you're taking her word for it. And a lot of times the family or the cousin or the sister, the brothers, they're in on it. Why? Because poverty will make you do whatever you've got to do to buy a sack of rice. If it means scamming some rich, they perceive you to be rich foreigner, that's what they're going to do. Okay? It's like a lost and found in a border town asking about a diamond ring. Do you think there's a lost and found in Tijuana, Mexico, or Juarez, Mexico? Go lose your wedding ring in Tijuana and then go ask, hey, is there a lost and found around here? Anybody see a diamond ring? How's the song go? They just look at you like you lost your mind and say they haven't seen a thing. So anyhow, I'll throw that out there. You're playing around, playing the field. There's always a chance of that pregnancy scam. And there's always a chance that the girl is pregnant. And obviously, you got to step up and take care of your kid. But if it ain't your kid, it ain't your responsibility. If the girl is pregnant, she's a bar girl, or you don't trust her, what have you, you gotta wait till the kid comes along and get that DNA test. This is what I recommend. Even if you don't believe her, You're going to be out some money in the short term. If you don't believe the girl, but she's insisting that you're the father, then you engage. You engage, you pay for the medical bills, you make a trip over here to get face to face with her, take her to the doctor. If the doctor says, yeah, she's pregnant, here's, okay. You stay with her until that child pops out. You're there the day the child's born. And once the child is born, for me, I know if it's my kid or not. All I got to do is look at the little whippersnapper, and I know 100% if that's my kid or not. That's just me, because all my kids look exactly like me. And then you go from there. And if it's your kid, okay, you're there, everything's good. Now you're part of the life. Get your name on the birth certificate, go forward, do good things, raise your child. If the kid pops out and it's clearly not your child, what have you lost? You've lost a few $100s, a couple $1,000s at the most, and you can just chalk that up as charity work, that you did God's work for 9 months helping this child who clearly is not yours. And whether or not you want to pay the hospital bill or not, that's on you at that point. I'd pay the hospital bill, and once I paid the hospital bill, I'd do the DNA test as well, just to verify my just natural paternal instincts that that's not my child. The DNA verifies it's not your child, and you say, good luck to you. It's not my kid. I helped you through the pregnancy. I paid for all of your doctor's visits, your medicine, your vitamins. Now I paid the hospital bill. This is my gift to you. I'm doing God's work. But at this point, I got to go because this does not concern me. That's how I would handle it. Okay, all right, so you're out a couple plane tickets, you're out a couple grand. But the gamble, the juice is worth the squeeze. Because what if it is your child? You want to take that route. Because if you deny, oh, this is not mine, and it turns out to be yours, now everybody's against you. You're the bad guy, you're too late, you're behind the curve, you can't control anything. That's my recommendation. Engage, be there, child pops out, if there's any question, DNA test, it's not mine, pay the bill, everybody loves you, head on out. Okay, chalk it up as charity work. So, talking about threatening to put a case on you. In the PI, you will hear that, okay? I've never heard this stuff in any other countries that I've spent time in, lived in, transited through, but here you will hear it. I'm going to deport you. I'm going to put a MBI hold on you. I'm going to put a case on you. I hear those threats. All right, my old lady's threatening me with shit when she gets pissed off. It's a very childish, just knee-jerk response. But, a lot of the systems here are very similar to America because this used to be, let's call it like it is, used to be under American rule. And I guess that close nexus to the States, and I don't know, but you'll hear that shit a lot. They'll threaten you. I'm going to put a case on you. I'm going to deport you. Blah, 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 blah. And it's scary. It is scary because you don't know if they're going to go down there and tell some, bullshit to the bronchi captain who's their uncle. That's why you never build a house in your wife's village. If you ever get sideways with her, it's real easy to be declared persona non grata in your own house because it's on her land and her village, her hometown. You get sideways with them, your only option is to get the fuck out of there. Anyhow, enough about that. But it's stressful. And the gentleman said, hey, over the past 2 years dealing with these threats and stuff, he thought about tying a buffer cord around his neck and throwing the buffer out the window. It's stressful. I understand it. okay? Especially if you've never, been or in or around the justice system in another country. You don't know what's true, what's not true, how it works. It don't bother me anymore. Why? Because I've been through a protracted child custody battle here in this country. I've testified in court. I've gotten the privilege of riding in the back of police trucks, quite comfortable. I'm well versed in how the system works, okay? My lawyer's phones, or my lawyer's cell phones, and my Rolodex, it's on speed dial. So all the threats like that, it don't bother me anymore. But it used to. And it'll, it'll bother anybody. So anyhow, man, thanks for that comment. My goodness. That's good stuff, and you're right, man. You can't make this stuff up. But it does happen here. And then the fact that, I got connections. She's got connections. Well, let's talk about that. Man, Deuteronomy, you just gave me a 30-minute show. Connections, you'll hear that shit too. Okay, connections. If you're dealing with broke-ass people anywhere, they got connections at the local lowest level. All right? If you're in the backwoods of Mississippi or Alabama, somebody says, you know who I am. Okay, maybe they're related to the mayor in a town of 200 people. That's their scope of connection, okay? Most of the time, they run their mouth. Maybe their barangay captain's their cousin or whatever. That's their scope. Now, is it a problem if they want to trump some shit up? Well, yeah. But they don't know anybody in Manila or Makati over at a federal agency, right? They're just running that flapper. But I'll tell a story. It wasn't in this country. I won't say what country it was. Maybe I've outed that in a past video. But it wasn't here. But I found myself, I guess I'm mixing apples and oranges. I guess it goes to what type of girl are you dating? If you're dating a girl from a bamboo shack, her connections end at the barangay. If you date a girl who's working on the 35th floor of a firm in Makati, her connections aren't just at the barangay level. Does that make sense? It's what type of girl are you dating as to who you want to believe if they make some bullshit threats against you, right? Back to my story. Found myself sort of dating this chick, and she was about 30 years old, 32, 33, somewhere in there, middle-aged chick. She wasn't no 21-year-old girl that I just pulled off the pole. And this girl was educated. I thought she was cool. But I would say, in my experience, my whole lifetime of experience dating women, the absolute craziest women that I've ever dealt with have not been the poor rednecks from Alabama. It's been the girls with PhDs, with doctor in front of their name, or PhD, whatever, after their name. Those have been the craziest ones that I've ever had to deal with. The rednecks, they just do redneck shit, right? What we call old TRA, T-R-A, typical redneck activity. But the ones with PhDs and spending 14 hours a day in a chemistry lab, those were the crazy ones. Man, I'd write a book about that. So, one night I'm talking to this girl on the video, and well, come to find out, she worked for immigration in this country that I was in. Now, I was cautious. Once I found out she worked for immigration, I was cautious. I was like, man, this can go either way. If I get in good with this girl or we end up getting married, okay. Now I got somebody in. I ain't got no problems with immigration. But it could go the other way if I piss her off. Holy shit. So one night, we're talking, and we weren't arguing. We were just sitting there talking, and all of a sudden, the snakes in her head started turning and said something to the effect of, you know, you should never piss me off. And I'm like, why? And she said, well, because of your visa. And here we go. Here we go. She laid that trump card down on me that I had to be her cabin boy, do everything she said, or there would be repercussions for old single dad. Needless to say, it was very dangerous for me to wade any further into that relationship. And I very gingerly tiptoed out of it to prevent any problems. Okay, but that's the type of girl that has connections at that level to cause me some problems, right? If we ever got sideways. So, just food for thought, all right? If you date a girl that's high up in immigration, or even an immigration officer in any country that you're in, and folks, I know that a lot of you think of watching my show as this is all about the PI. And that's not how I perceive things. I look at things on a world level. And I've pigeonholed myself into everybody who watches my show, the algorithm, whatever, that I'm like a permanent fixture here in the PI. And I consider myself, I'm just a tourist. I'm on TDY, temporary duty, temporary deployment. I'm just passing through. At some point, I'm leaving here. Okay? It's never my intent to stay here permanent. It was never my plans or intent to stay here as long as I have. You know, the lockdown and the kids changed things for me. Just like the point of the video about how this gentleman came over, going to enjoy retirement, and now his girlfriend is pregnant. What does he do? Does he raise the kid here, America? That was the point of the video. So when I talk about these things, I'm thinking in a worldly sense. I'm not thinking about here in the PI. A lot of these stories I tell, they have nothing to do with the PI. Okay, but when you leave your home country, you're always involved with immigration, visas, all that shit, no matter what country you're standing in. So if you want to date a girl outside your home country, there's pros and cons if she tells you she works for immigration. My gosh, never again for me. Let's see, Robert's talking about he had a girl, she said she was pregnant, she stole my knife and ran away. Philippines need to build a wall around all the islands to keep foreigners like this out of the country. Okay, LOL. And I guess, you know, people don't watch the video. When all you do is read the comment, you just jump to conclusions. So I guess everybody, what they're thinking, A, it's me, my old lady's pregnant, I'm gonna dip out. And you watch 1 minute of the video, oh, it's this other guy, he's trying to dip out. The dude's not trying to dip out. Okay, that wasn't the point of the video. The point of the video was he came to a country outside of his home country, just gonna chill. Now his old lady's pregnant. What does he do? Does he raise the kid here, or does he take the kid back home? What's the best route? That was the discussion, right? And it was discussion about living here in this country is not as cheap as he thought it was going to be. But I think that if you move to any country, you have this budget in mind, most of the time it's not going to work out. You're going to spend more than you budgeted for, unless you are just absolutely so strict and disciplined that you're willing to eat nothing but rice with soy sauce on it if you're a little bit low for the month. Most people aren't. Most people aren't prepared to be that disciplined, and you end up spending too much money, more money than you budgeted for. This is from Dave. Brought my wife to Texas. Plan was to stay until folks were gone. Once his parents pass away, him and his lady are going to move here to the PI. Okay, which I hear that story a lot. A lot of people are just sitting ready to move over here or move to Thailand, wherever their dream takes them, is going to take them, but they can't until the parents pass on because they're involved in their care. It's just logistics, facts of life. So, and then go back to the island and her family. Well, she came up pregnant, and now we have a beautiful little girl. Plans changed. I would not subject my daughter to the Philippines. Forget about it. Okay, well, that's part of the running debate, which encouraged me to do that video, is a lot of folks, including myself, are in that situation, trying to figure out what the best option is. Do you keep the kids here? Do you take the kids back to your home country? In my case, it's the United States, to raise them. What's the best answer? And it's like a 50-50 split. There's valid arguments for it, against it, both sides of the aisle. But here's a gentleman who had the plans, brought his lady to the States. As soon as he retired, his parents passed on, coming back here to lay up in a hammock all day. She gets pregnant. Now you got a kid. That changes things. And he says under no circumstances is he going to bring his little girl over here to the PI. Okay, thank you very much, Dave, for the comment, and for sharing your path with us. Like I said, about 50% of the people are with that argument. 50% are against it. It's not like a majority rules. Okay, let's move on to, let's see, TJ. What's worse, working at 45 or working at 65? Okay, the problem with your theory. All right, so let me tell you what my theory was in the past video. When I decided that I was going to move to Thailand and live out my dream of living in Thailand with my Thai wife, obviously I had not second thoughts, but I had concerns, I had issues I had to overcome in my mind to say, okay, let's do it. My buddy the J-Dog said, hey man, what's the worst that can happen? You go to Thailand, live over there for 5 years at an early age. I was mid-30s, late 30s, when I punched out. You're gonna live the time of your life. If you go broke after 5 years, what's the worst that can happen? You come back to America and get a job and go back to work. Where's the downside of that? You got to live your life when you're active instead of going over there when you're 65 and you can't do nothing but sit in a chair. He said, there's no downside to that, dude. If I can go over there. And so that was my argument, and that is my argument, is that if you have some type of dream, especially if it requires you being active to enjoy that lifestyle, if you wait until you're 70 or 75 to move somewhere, how much of that lifestyle or any lifestyle are you going to enjoy? Most folks, when they hit 75 or 80, they're not very mobile. Not everybody. But it's a statement of fact that if you go do an activity when you're 35 to 40, you're going to be able to do a lot more traveling and adventure type stuff than you are when you're 70 years old. So what he's saying is hey man, your theory is flawed. He's saying your theory is flawed because assuming I have to go back right now to my home country. So what's worse, working at 45 or working at 65? The problem with your theory is as you get older, you are not employable anymore. Without a pension or Social Security, you are doomed. Okay? Very good points. Very valid points. Okay? Let's make the assumption most of us are going to get some Social Security at some point, right? Unless it runs out. Is it going to be enough to sustain life For most folks, most of us, it's not going to be. Social Security is not enough. For some folks, it is. Some folks live over here on nothing but Social Security. Now, employable. I would tend to agree with you if we were having this argument about 30 years ago. Who the hell is going to employ a 52, 55, a 65-year-old person? Back then, if you had this argument or this debate in the 80s, I would absolutely agree with you. Man, you're unemployable. Not this day and age. Hell, people are begging for people to work in America. They still are, from what I'm told. You know, my buddy says that still a lot of restaurants can't stay open. They're full hours because they can't get enough help. So the world has changed. The United States has changed to where I'm quite confident that even at 52, now I'm in great shape. At 52 years old, if I go back to the United States right now and step off of that plane, you give me 24 hours and I'll be employed doing something and probably making 20 bucks an hour. So it might not be enough to sustain the lifestyle that I used to be accustomed to. And I just read some stats that said basically, and I see these stats are all over, but basically it was right around 130,000. If you have two kids in America, like the poverty line, barely enough to live, scraping by, is like $130,000. And I saw one the other day that said Americans say they need to make 172,000 to be able to squeak by. But this study said 130 with two kids. So, you know, going back at some entry level job, would it be hard? Absolutely. Absolutely it would. But I've survived this long. I have the survival mindset. If I have to go back and work construction all day long and deliver pizzas at night, I'm prepared to do that. I can do that. Now what happens if my health gives out? Okay, well, you got me there. But the other side of the argument is, the trump card that I hold in this is that you are not guaranteed to live to be 70 years old. You're not guaranteed to be 75 or 80. You're not guaranteed to make it to 60. Okay? I talk about this a lot, but my buddy Dave went down at 37. Pablo went down at 49. My buddy Tim, 55. My buddy Dennis, 59. Do you think all these people plan on dying before the age of 60? No, they're all worried about their Social Security, their pension, blah, 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 blah. And not one person out of my inner circle, I take that back, I got one, Doc Wayne. He's made it to where he's over 60, getting some of his Social Security money back that the government took from him. But 4 people in my inner circle didn't make it to age 60. And none of us are guaranteed any more time on this earth. So a lot of people say it was reckless, or it's reckless if you punch out early on your retirement and take less money, or you take Social Security early and take less money. That's reckless. I disagree. It's reckless not to live your life, because how many people have we heard of that we know of, especially government workers? Like somebody said the other day, government workers, they retire on Friday, they drop dead Saturday morning. Got all this pension and all this shit and all this stuff, just like my buddy Pablo. Okay, never got to draw not one dime of his money, enjoy any of his money. That's what's reckless, is that you're banking on the fact that you're guaranteed to live long enough to enjoy the fruits of your labor, and you're not. Anyhow, thank you very much for those very valid points, but there's arguments for and against it. And if you end up dying before you live out your dream, before you can get one penny of your retirement money, well, going on down. Haven't done a video like this in a long time. Great work. Thank you very much. Survived the PSYOP. Okay. Let's see. JW says, well, damn, Marcos, you're no kind of help, bro. I was expecting answers, or at least your point of view, but all you wanted to do was provoke thought and leave us hanging, wanting an answer. Yeah, thank you for the comment. Folks, I didn't preface this video, but all I hope to do is to invoke thought. I don't have all the answers. Nobody does. I like to just invoke thought, set the forum, set some points out there. You'll learn more down in the comments, right? Now, I don't have all the answers. Nobody does. You got to take a sampling and see what applies to your own situation. And that's the joy of doing this. I don't have to give you an answer. I just have to invoke thought. Let's see, it's a 50-50 test. I always say 50 love you, 50% hate you. Be careful with your money. Let's see, I've been going on 6 years, took some adaptation, but found a win-win. There are amazing things in the PI and also death financially and physically. God bless. All right, thank you very much for the comment, my friend. Cena says, we're going in the Philippines soon too. We built our retirement home in the province subdivision area. When you leave your home country, you come over here, there's obviously a culture shock. But if you move to your wife's hometown, or move into her village, you are just tripling the culture shock. Okay? You can't get away from folks. You can't have any peace and quiet. It's going to be too much of a shock. Now, I talk about the 2-island rule. If you're going to move over here, you live at least 2 islands away from your wife's family, or you're going to go insane. I would say that if I lived in the States, live quite a distance away from your in-laws. But here, I call it the 2-island rule. Right now, we're back up here in Angeles City, and we're at least 2 islands away from her crew down there. And there's a load of stress off of me. If you are going to live in her hometown, and there is a subdivision, a development, a village, whatever you want to call it, a neighborhood, a subdivision, that's actually a good idea. Why? Why is it a good idea? Well, let me just tell you and contrast how I live here in a subdivision. Okay, we'll reveal that we're in a subdivision. Gated community with security versus living down there around her family. Well, every morning I get up, I have no idea down there who's coming over for the day, who's going to come over and try to spend the night, who's showing up hungry. On a daily basis, it could easily equal over a dozen people that come over and end up hanging out, watching the TV, eating, raiding your refrigerator, all the good things that go with living close to your in-laws. There's no rules. There's no rules that says on the other side of your wall, people can run a gas supply place where there's nothing but tanks of LPG on the other side of your wall. There's no rule that says the guy over here can't have a pig on the other side of your wall. I just did a previous video recently where I said I'm not willing to live within arm's reach of a pig or a goat or a chicken anymore. I'm done with that. I'm not saying I'm not still a country boy. I am. But if you live on a farm, in the States especially, You got your house here, pig pens out here, cows are over here, chickens over here. I don't think there's many of y'all that could reach out while you're sleeping and almost touch a pig. Here, that's reality. I'm not willing to live like that no more. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, ain't willing to live like that no more. So by living in a subdivision with some rules, a little bit of structure, a little bit of damn structure, or you have a homeowners association. Now, they're not like Florida. You know, Florida, my God, I love Florida, but the HOAs down there are, I mean, they're just, militant is not the word. Nazis is not the word. They're just out of control, just unreasonable. But if you get a little neighborhood where A, they got security, where people just can't come and go all the time, and B, the next door neighbor can't put a pig pen in, there's a couple little rules, that's actually a good thing. That's actually a good thing. We lived in a neighborhood over there in Barrio Barreto called Magdalena Homes. It was nice, had a little playground for the kids. You can walk around at night pushing the stroller without cars whizzing by. The next door neighbors can't have a pig right on the other side of my wall. So building in a subdivision just to put a little bit of buffer around all the noise, the madness, is actually a good thing. I just thought I'd bring that up because I'm standing in a neighborhood right now. What do you hear? You hear almost nothing. Okay, why? Because we're in a neighborhood. Neighbors can't put up a pig farm right over here on the other side of my wall. All right, moving right along. Okay, great video. I plan to retire in the Philippines, leaving Michigan, and I would not bring my girlfriend or the baby back to the USA. Thank you very much, Mark Richard. Okay, so on the other side of the aisle. Okay, you brought up some interesting points about immigration for the younger man. If I became a father in the PI, despite the benefits of better schools, I've heard that international schools are behind our standards, ? And likely better opportunities post-school, I would stay in Southeast Asia, get them dual citizenship, multilingual, on point, and ensure that they have the capital to launch a business when they finish high school or college. I thank you very much, Michael, for the comment. Let's talk about international schools. Okay, over here in Thailand, if you're going to send your kid to school, you got to send them to an international school. Why? Well, folks, so a lot of the schools here, they're just open air. If you look at some of the classrooms, you don't know, they're just open air, right? I'm not saying that that's necessarily that you have to have air conditioning to learn. But if you don't have air conditioning, do you think the school has any computers or anything higher technology for the kids to be learning on? No, they don't. They're supposed to speak English, but they don't. That's why you have to send your kid to a private school here. There's various ranges of private schools with different amounts of money. It's very cheap out in the province. You know, the closer you get to the big cities, you're going to get a higher level of education and learning, but the price goes up. And if you're on $1,000 a month Social Security check, you can't afford to send your kid to private school around Angeles City or Manila. And if you're way out in the province, well, yeah, you can. Thailand has some great international schools. They're not cheap. They're cheap compared to American standards, but I think the one we were looking at one time was like $30,000 a year on the tuition. Okay, the American school here on Clark for second grade was like, what was it, $6,500 a year, just on the tuition. If you're prior government or military, you get 50% off that tuition. All right, that's what they told me. So if you want to send your kids to the American school on Clark, it's within range with that 50% off. Where if you're paying $6,500, for a lot of us it's not, right? So anyhow, yeah. If you're gonna send your kid to school here, you gotta send them to some type of private international school. When in Rome, run to another island like the local men do. All right, the guy I call Tonio, local guy who makes a baby, immediately runs away to the next brown guy. All right, it's from Vito. Why are you wearing a winter jacket in a tropical country? That's a great question, man. And I might have to refill my grape juice, let my voice rest for a minute before I answer that. Give me just a sec, I'll be right back. I'm back. Got me another fresh glass of grape juice. Okay, why are you wearing a winter jacket in a tropical country? It's a good question. Andy says, trying to have swag. I don't think he's saying anything hateful. I'm living less than 2 miles from where he is filming. Nothing wrong with a leather coat. It's hot and raining for days now. You see where he is living is to shelter him from his roof leaks in his dwelling. The guy just does not know about the leaks. Folks, y'all crack me up on a daily basis. Y'all really do. Why am I wearing a leather coat? It's because I make this look good. I make this look real good, partner. You think this was by accident? It's all engineered, partner. It's all by design. Plus, I bought this coat in Great Falls, Montana at a thrift shop. I can't remember what I gave for it. It's steep. It's like $3. I got a couple discounts. Get a girl in the Philippines, bring her back to America or Australia or the UK. Both of you work, then go back and live in the Philippines. That's what Tika says, and then Dan says, absolutely, do not do that. Sir Mike, live your life your own way and on your own terms. You're the captain of your own ship. That's exactly right, man. I use that line so many times. You are the captain of your own destiny, just as I am the captain of my own destiny. Just as Timothy McVeigh said, I'm the captain of my own destiny, right before we executed him. So, yeah, we're all the captains of our own destiny. Okay, having lived on and off in the Philippines since 1987, now back in the UK, thank God, 85% of foreign guys either married or in a relationship will fail after 4 years. The odds of you having a happy ending is stacked against you. I have to be blunt, okay? Seen so many good men with their dreams shattered in the Philippines. Guys, back off or you will regret it. At least you cannot say, I was not warned. You have been. Thank you very much. Be ready always. I call this guy numbnuts. He needs to be kicked out. He's crazy. I don't know if you're talking about me or the guy I was talking about on the video. I think you're talking about me because you didn't watch the video and you erroneously make the assumption or whatever. This one's a little strange. I made the connection with you and Pete and Lori in a cyberbullying video late 2024. Talking about the Army and the Academy. I don't know what this gentleman's talking about. Like the storytelling style, Dateline should hire you. Thank you very much, Chase. Top secret. Okay, dang, man. Commenting on your talk about kids. I have 2 sons. Mom is Filipina, but we live in America. My boys are American. They love all things USA. They want to fish, hunt, camp, play baseball. I wouldn't want it any other way. I think it is easier for them to succeed in the Philippines if they wanted, then it would be to grow up in the Philippines and succeed in the USA. Man, that is, thank you very much, Chase, top secret. Okay. Man, I'm going to have to talk about this in a while. Okay, the children are in America. They love all things America, such as fishing, hunting, camping, playing baseball. Now let's go down that line. I miss fishing in America. I have fished many places here, and if y'all watch any of our past fishing videos, there ain't many fish to catch. There certainly, in my travels, aren't any freshwater places where you can go catch a big old catfish, right? If there are, there's already 100 locals there, they fished it out. So the outdoor activities that you take for granted, hunting and fishing in America, it's not the same here. It's just not the same. There's no hunting here, all right? What are you gonna hunt? If there was anything to hunt, it's been gone hundreds of years ago. There's nothing to hunt. You know, as foreigners, you can't have guns. Even if you could, I wouldn't recommend you go through the paperwork to get a damn gun, but that's out. So fishing, yeah, if you go to certain places where there's not a lot of other people, it's just not the same. So if you're a big hunter and fisherman, this is not the place you need to move to. That's my opinion. Okay, now other folks that run charters and you get far enough out and you can get into you know, some big fish, yeah. But who's got the money for that all the time? You can't just throw a couple riding reels in the back of the truck and drive down here to the pond and think you're gonna catch supper. It don't work like that here. Baseball. There's baseball here, but it's obviously not on a scale like it is in America. So if you're bound and determined to get your kid involved in baseball, there is Little League baseball here. All right, but it's not at every school. It's not on every corner. Hunting and fishing, camping, you know, yes, you can go camping here. Yes, we've done camping trips, but it's just not the same. You know, you take like national parks and national forests and all that stuff for granted over in the States, but that's part of what makes America great. You know, it really is. Man, I'll get this video demonetized just because I said that shit. You think I'm kidding me? I can't say his name because this video will be considered some type of... The fighter that's very popular here, if you say his name, then all of a sudden the video could be construed as about politics. YouTube has absolutely lost their mind. They scan every word. I think it's easier for them to succeed in the Philippines if they wanted to than it would be to grow up in the Philippines and succeed in USA. Man, that's an accurate statement. I say it's an accurate statement, but it does cut both ways. If those kids grow up in the States, they're not coming here. There's a high probability they're not coming here, okay? They're staying in the States. They'll come over here and visit and look around. Those are American kids. They're gonna stay in the States. People who grow up here, I'm not saying that's everybody's dream, but if they get an opportunity to go to the States, they're going. Okay, just go down to the U.S. Embassy and look at those lines out there every day. So it's a double-edged sword. If the kids grow up in America, they're not coming here. Thank you very much for the comment. You know, people who grow up here and they make it to the States, they're not coming back. Okay? There is reality in we live what we learn. We are a product of our environment. Be well out there. We are. We're hugely a product of our environment. And it's just like I talked about in that video, is you can look at Upal, who's basically raised in the village, still living that village lifestyle, you know, versus my kids who, you know, live less than a mile away, kilometer away from them, but they're brought up differently because they're in a different environment inside my house than he's in over at his house in the village. So yeah, we're hugely a product of our environment. Okay, so this is from Kevin. All right, we've got a bunch of replies here, so let's get into the debate. $700 a month equals $8,400 a year, so $200,000 if you had it in saving is 23 years. If you can't have a nice life there on $700 a month, you are not smart or a pussy, and that's a fact. Okay, so Kevin is of the argument that you can live here for $700 a month. And I assume that you've lived here or you've been here. Your title is Kevin Venture Philippines. So people ask me all the time, how much does it cost to live there? I came up with the 1, 2, 3 rule. I know I sound like a broken record for my normal folks, but a lot of viewers are first time. If you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't chase the ladies, you can live on $1,000 US per month here if you're smart and you live like a local. If you drink and smoke, you need $2,000. If you drink, smoke, and chase the ladies, you need $3,000. What type of lifestyle do you want to lead? And people will argue that shit to the hilt. They will argue and argue. You don't need $1,000 a month. But what they're not factoring in is everything else over time that you have to pay to live life. And it's like they're bifurcating it, saying what they're really telling you is, how much are my hard bills in the Philippines? They're not saying how much does it cost to live. Well, if you punch out and move somewhere, you still have all the same bills that you had over here, right? In a way. Certain things aren't going away. Your medical condition is not going away. The fact that you're aging is not going away. Yeah, shit might got cheaper because you moved into a cheaper place, but you also have to factor in everyday real life. And what a lot of people are just telling you is only what their hard bills are. They're not factoring in plane tickets back to the US, unexpected medical emergencies, unexpected purchases that you have to make. Your laptop goes down. You need a new MacBook Pro that's easily $1,000, or you need a new iPhone. That adds up to what you got to pay to survive. Anyhow, let's move to the replies. So he says for $700 you can live. And you're absolutely right. Some people do. Some people are living here off of $700 a month. Vito says 200 grand invested at 5% will generate 10K a year, or $833 a month. You can live a long time. The key is don't build her a house and don't marry a bar girl. Vito, thank you very much, man. Been preaching those concepts for years, but not many people listen to me. When you come over here, you want to survive, you rent, and don't marry bar girls. Bar girl is a very politically correct, soft landing way of saying hooker, prostitute. Prostitute's such a nasty word, right? So we softened it to bar girl. What's the difference? Would you marry a hooker in America? Nope, but people will marry bar girls. Many of y'all who know me, I'm not casting stones. All right, that is the most intuitive response I have seen in years. It's right up there with don't stand up in a canoe, never marry a stripper named Candy. All great advice, well done. Not kidding, you were spot on. Most people cannot live a nice life on $700 a month in the Philippines. Don't do that. Come with at least twice that amount in income and a healthy savings, or you will likely regret it. Let's see, twice a month is not enough to try and survive. Not live on anything less than $3,500 is a joke. Okay, $1,500 US dollars and you can live pretty nice in the Philippines. Do what you want and not really have to hold back much. Just spend wisely, and there's plenty of money. I'm losing my voice. I used to be able to do 5-hour live streams sitting in a hot tub getting drunk. Maybe I didn't say as many words. Okay, so we have opinions all over the board about how much it takes to live here. Lived in the Philippines for 2 years on far greater than $700 US dollars per month and realized that the Philippines is a hellhole. Moved back to the good old USA and loving life. Okay, so do what you want, but spend wisely. So if I visit Boracay like every other month and stay in nice beachfront hotels, do you consider that spending wisely? I spent my entire life working to enjoy my life and do what I want. Okay, so all valid points. All right, now again, Kevin, this was his previous comment. Dude, I love you, but I live on $700 a month in America and have all I need. I love to cook, etc. I am a survivalist that grew up in Alaska. I do understand that 95% of your watchers are old pussies, but please don't act like they're not real men that can have a good life, amazing life, way cheaper than most. $1,000 a month there is just showing off. $2,000 to $3,000 a month there is just admitting you are a girl or rich as fuck or stupid as fuck. Scenarios vary. So Kevin's coming in there strong. Man, thanks. Thank you very much for the comment. So let's see what the replies are. Let's see. Dan Vane says, don't compare yourself to the average person. Most Westerners can't do what you do. It's just not feasible. You don't want to be responsible for convincing even one person to try what you are doing. 99.9% chance they will fail. Then Michael says, you live or survive on $700. How much of that is your travel budget? Medical, food, I understand, but many don't like to eat bear and beaver. Many don't like bear and beaver to eat. Let's see, JW says, he is eating like you said or living off government Section 8 and welfare. Sounds like it. $700. Really? Guess he does not travel to exotic places often. Okay. If you come over here with $700 a month, I don't even call it surviving. I call it existing. You're just existing. You don't have the money to go anywhere, to do anything. If there are nice restaurants where you're living, you don't have the money to go enjoy them. You're constantly going to be worried what happens. What happens if I get sick? What happens if I have to go back to my home country? How am I going to get back? So, no, I'm telling you right now, because a lot of people listen to what I say, obviously. Some people have called me an influencer. I don't know if that's true or not, but if all you have is $700 a month, I don't recommend that you leave the United States. I don't think that's enough, especially over time. You're setting yourself up for failure. Now, why do I say that? I'm not saying you can't do it. It's your life, Big Pimpin'. If you think you can pull it off, roll the dice, roll out. Do what you got to do. It's your life. But over time, it's not enough money. And you're not even surviving. You're just existing. Certainly don't come here. And I'm going to tell you why. You don't come here for the street food. You don't come here for the local food. Can you survive off of it? Well, yeah, people do. But people don't travel here for the street food. People travel to Thailand for the street food because it's cheap and it's delicious. You can't say the same thing here. You don't want to come here to where you have to eat like that every day because you have no other choice. And the reason for that is because if you're still in America and you're sitting in America and all you have is $700 a month, you can go out and get your ass a job, or you can hustle, or you can dumpster dive. You can improve your life by hustling. You can't do that here. That's the difference. So $700 a month, in the comments, is pretty funny. Yeah, the average dude is not going to eat a bear or a beaver or go out and trap rabbits. Can you survive on that? If you had to. But do you really want to? And can the average person do it? I don't recommend it. When I say $1,000 a month, that's the bare minimum overtime that you need. And that's my opinion. Ain't no free food here. You get down on your luck. There ain't no church that you can pull up to on free food giveaway days and load up your trunk. You can't go down to the government and apply for, we call it food stamps, whatever those cards are. Ain't none of that shit here, especially the foreigner, right? You have all those safety nets in your home country. In America, you have those safety nets. There's no safety net here. So you really want to go to a place with no safety net with $700 a month? I don't recommend it. But that's me. But again, if you knew you only had 3 months to live, well, okay, get on a plane, live your life. When you look at it like that, logic goes right out the window. It's like quantum physics. It's like quantum mechanics. Okay, let's go and see what some more comments are here. My voice continues to go out. Yeah, you can't travel. If you got $700, how are you going to travel around? You're just going to come, sit somewhere, try to grow tomatoes in your flower pot? I mean, what are you going to do? While the U.S. is not a viable option now for most, Philippines, having some attributes such as less expensive housing, medical care, and services in general, is still a cultural wasteland that may grate on one's nerves once the novelty of living overseas is gone. However, it's a good hub to escape to other nations close by that are more developed. Okay, that's one person's opinion. One man's opinion right there, okay? The big thing that a lot of people worry about, especially from America, is health care. That's a big thing, right? A lot of y'all listen to my voice. You have to be close to higher level health care. It's a top of your list of things on your retirement, right? Got to have this health care. How far, what level of care, what do they accept this? Some of y'all are going to find that coming here doesn't actually check that box for you, where a place like Thailand will. And that's just a whole nother topic. But health care is a big topic, obviously, when you're talking about retirement. Okay, let's go to this next comment, and then my voice is giving up for the day. All right, this is from Guitar Jams. I would not move to the Philippines or Thailand with less than $2,000 a month pension or at least $1 million invested. Having both would be a bonus. Okay, that's a responsible point. Vito says the trade-off says you work and endure miserable life for 40 plus years in the West. So in the end, you might enjoy 10 to 15 good years of life on a $2,000 a month pension. Only work 15 years and then live 30 to 40 years okay life on $1,000. See how? Guitar Jam's response says living on $1,000 a month is poverty. I prefer more money. Vito says you prefer to work extra and be miserable for an extra 15 years just so one day you can go spend that extra $1,000. That's your choice. Many people would rather be poor on $1,000 but in retirement 15 years earlier. Guitar says, I am 56 and I retired at age 51. My life is great, no money worries. Sorry you have to live on a low income. I am in Thailand living the good life. Michael says, what kind of job did you have to only set yourself up with $2,000? Double it. Who said I only make $2,000 a month? I was just saying I would not live in Philippines or Thailand for less than that. Okay? All right, and that's the last comment. I thought I was going to talk for 3-4 hours. It ain't going to happen. Folks, how do you leave Thailand with $1 million? You go there with 10 million. It's the same here. If you want to live your dream and shit don't work out, you can always go back to your home country. That is the safety net. They can't refuse you. They got to take you back. You go broke, you can always get back to your home country and figure it out from there. There's government programs to help you. You can get a job. You can get back in the grind. You can survive. Surviving for me is better than existing. Now, recently, man, I can't, obviously, I'm not going to name no names, hurt nobody's feelings. But recently, had a player come over here that I know of, not a friend, I just know the story. Ran out of money. I can't make this shit up. Ran out of money to the point that the dude was running up utang at the sorry stores around there. Of course, they're going to give him credit because he's a foreigner. Never think that, hey, this guy's going to not pay the utang. Run up a bill at the chicken place, and then somehow or another, some charity gave him some money to get to Manila. The embassy hooked him up with a charity who bought him a plane ticket home. He talked about broke. This dude was flat out fucking broke. And they sent him back. Have no idea where he's at, what he's doing. But that was his fate. Now, he didn't come here flat broke. He made it here somehow. He was paying rent somehow. But when he left out, the charity, the way I understand it, and the conversations I've heard, is that the U.S. Embassy doesn't loan you anything. They're not going to help you get back. This is the conversation I heard at the window when a dude a couple years ago was the same shit. He was broke, asking them to buy him a plane ticket. I'm just trying to get home. They provided him with a list of nonprofits that could help him. And he's arguing, I just need a plane ticket. And they're just, sir, we don't do that. I don't know what they do nowadays. All I can tell you is the conversation that I heard and witnessed. You think the embassy is going to help you? No, they'll help you with a piece of paper with a list of NGOs that you can go to and say, hey, can you help me? And they'll try to hook you up with a hotel and a plane ticket home. And then the story that I just talked about, that's what happened. The dude made it to Manila, went to the embassy, and some charity bought him a ticket home. He went back home. I don't know. I don't know if his money got cut off or if he just didn't have enough money. Don't know the whole story. But the good thing about the story is, you come over here on $700 a month, go broke. Your home country pretty much has to take you back. Anyhow, that's all I can do, folks. My voice is gone. Thanks for joining me. Peace out, my friends. Hope you learned something. Hope I invoked some thought. Leave your comments down there for others to learn from. See y'all on the next one.